I feel like that's a lot of what my journey in healing has been, and something I'm just so insanely passionate about is really, again, that kind of self-healing and rediscovering myself, because I'm a totally different person than I was before. There's no way I possibly could be the same person. And it was kind of a wake-up call of how fleeting life can be, and anything could happen at any given time, and to just continue to take care of myself and the people that I love around me. And in order to do that, I have to be physically healthy and emotionally healthy. So it's kind of opened my eyes to just letting everything out and being like, here I am, world, and accept me because I accept me.
Welcome to The Narratives of Suicide, the podcast where we bring hope, community and a voice to those who've lost to suicide. It's where we dispel the myths of suicide. We dispel historical discourses and constructs that have been steeped in history for a very long time, and we're here with hope, love and support for everyone out there who needs to listen to this podcast. I'm so sorry you're here, but I do hope it can give you something to use in your healing process, to be able to pick up the pieces of suicide and put them back together again in the best possible way that you can. So today we're here with Jenna, all the way from Pennsylvania in the USA, near New York apparently. And Jenna sadly lost her older brother to suicide 2 years ago, just over 2 years ago. So thank you so much for being here, Jenna. Great to meet you.
You as well, and I'm happy to be here.
Great. Thank you for coming to share your story with everybody as much as you wish to share. 2 years for me still feels quite early because I'm 4 years in, but again, everything's relative, and just love to hear what your experience has been like and how you've got to where you've got to right now, because you're a baby compared to me. You're 25 years old.
Yeah.
So you're a baby. So that's ever so young, I think. My initial reaction is, gosh, it's young to lose your brother. You'd be in that age. And what's his name?
Trevor.
Trevor. Okay, cool. Nice. So yeah, tell me a bit about Trevor. What was Trevor like?
Yeah, it's funny because after we lost him, a lot of people would always come forward and they would say, oh, I remember the two of you in the hallways at school, always the ones with the big smiles on your face saying hi to everybody. Oh. So I think that's something that people definitely remember, is just his sense of humor and his smile and his big heart too. I also had a lot of people come forward talking to me, which is really amazing, about moments where he came to them at a time when they needed help. And he himself, was suffering a lot, but he would sit there and talk and just be there for them. And I thought that was so special to hear from people. And I really appreciated those messages.
Yeah, absolutely. Can imagine. It's a big smile, but he had his own problems. So there was some ongoing stuff back there, was there, that he was struggling with sort of mental health wise, I guess?
Yeah. So when I was 12 years old, we were 3 years apart. So he would have been about 15, and he was diagnosed with bipolar manic depression. Of course, when I was that young, I definitely didn't have any understanding of what it was. And because it was very fresh and new, he himself in that kind of diagnosis didn't really know what to do with it. He would go to therapy. He was on medicine for some time. Until you're a part of the mental health system and have somebody in your personal life, your personal circle that goes through that, you don't really see the cracks in it. And it's something we experienced the minute he turned 18 and had the choice to either continue going through therapy, continue getting support either through counseling, groups, or medicine. And unfortunately, all he wanted to do was really be normal and have these friends and similar experiences to people his age. But his mind was unfortunately dark and playing tricks on him and causing him to say things that weren't normal and see things that weren't normal. And in the end, it just became too much. And unfortunately, as he got older and older, I understood it more. And I could see him slowly fading too, as it got worse, of not being medicated or going to therapy, because again, he just really wanted to be normal. He wanted to have the same experiences as other people. And he unfortunately didn't see that he had something else that was a little bit deeper that he needed more help with.
So you, as sister, watched him going through those ups and downs, I guess, then as a teenager, following on behind the younger one. Is it just you two in the family? You got others?
It is. Yeah, it's just him.
So you and Trevor are there together, and you're watching those moments and watching him, I guess, just trying to be normal and live a normal life as he possibly could. Mm-hmm. And I guess, then it got to the point where he couldn't anymore, that, yeah, it got too much. We don't have to go into that too much detail, obviously. But for you, then, was there a massive shock to that then? Because I know sometimes when people have had a lot of problems with mental health before the suicide, there can be kind of like a sense of prediction of, okay, the shock might not be as much. What would you say the shock was like then for you?
Yeah, it's something definitely as he got older and I could see it worsening and saw less and less of him and the illness really take control of his every day. It always became a thought in my mind, like this could potentially happen. Like wanting, obviously, that phone call saying that it did happen, but always knowing in the back of my mind that it was a possibility if he continued kind of on the path that he was going. So to some degree, after I talked to some support groups and even counseling, I remember almost being kind of grateful and thankful that I had some answers because I knew how much he was struggling and how sick he was. Yes, that phone call was still such a shock, but I always knew that one day it might come. And there wasn't really a question as to why this. Whereas I know some people are just completely shocked, have no idea that anything like this could happen because unfortunately, maybe the person that was suffering kept it hidden so well. So to that degree, I definitely had some sort of idea, but at the same time, nothing can prepare you for what that could possibly look like and feel like.
Yeah, totally. The therapy you had since, it's helped you to kind of put the pieces back together again. Like you say, some people have to make meaning, don't they, of the shock of why. I guess you got some of the why because you knew him so well and knew what he struggled with.
Yeah, we were very close, talked every day, much as we could. But I definitely knew that at least go to some sort of therapy, group support, something, just to put my head at peace and get all of the thoughts in my mind kind of just out there, even if they didn't make sense. Because especially in those beginning weeks and even couple of months, it's just everything replaying in your mind and needing as many answers as you can get, but knowing you're really not going to get the full picture and be able to puzzle it together.
Yeah. So you got the help with that. You went to therapy quite quickly, did you? And got support, just to say it all out loud.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Oh, for me, definitely helped a lot. I didn't do it for like a year. And then when I did start, it was just that permission almost to be able to talk about those memories that are going round and round and round and round. Permission to say them out loud, I guess, rather than just going round inside. What kind of support did you get afterwards from friends and family, and how were you supported?
Yeah, I mean, initially, right from the start, and maybe it's just because my brother struggled so much, and there were certain times where I had to reach out in the early years. So people knew that there was already something wrong with him. So as soon as this happened, I openly pretty much told everybody because I knew I wasn't going to be able to be myself, be there for people. And I just had to say, this is what happened. I'm going to be quiet. I just need you. So because of that and being open, I had so much support as far as friends just reaching out to me, calling me, asking me if I'm okay, what to do. I'm here for you. So that was really, really nice to know that I had a support and to get those messages, even if I couldn't give it back, but to know people knew and cared. And I'm very close with my family as well, and specifically my mom. And I don't know what I would have done had I not been really close to my mom, because we were able to really rely on each other and help each other through it all. Whereas I know some people have strained relationships with family members or even friends and don't have that type of support. So to know I had that was really wonderful. I would say the only hard thing is the people don't realize too, even after the days, the weeks, that's when you really even need more support in the months happening, the years happening as things develop and grow. And I know on the other end, it's hard to know that people need that, but it's so nice to continue to get that support even after the initial days.
That's a case of asking as well then, because you said you didn't ask, but you were quick to say, look, this is what's happened, you're open. So there was none of that shame attached to it because other people knew what was going on. So you could easily say, well, yeah, he was poorly. Yeah. And this is what's happened now kind of thing. Yeah. So they were then able, I guess, weren't they, to be able to come into that. And every friend's different, aren't they, in terms of how supportive they're going to be anyway. So you've just got that
Yeah. Do you think that helps to... I did see a post from you like November. So what are we now? So this is like 6 months ago when I looked on your Instagram account just to do a little bit of research to see who you are. Beautiful pictures on your Instagram account. There was this one sort of saying, oh, it's Suicide Prevention Day. That's it. It's Suicide Prevention Day. Any memories of Trevor, bring them forward. So it was almost like you giving permission as well, or asking for that to be in recognition of Suicide Prevention Day. Do you remember doing that? You know what I mean? It's almost like the asking as well, isn't it?
Yeah, it's funny you say that because I don't ever think I intentionally did that. But now looking back at it, I see how helpful it was for me. And we did like kind of a celebration of life several months after he had passed. And it was just a gathering of family and friends to really try to remember the really amazing times and stories with pictures and music. And anytime that sort of occasion comes up, or the suicide prevention, mental health awareness, it just reminds me to bring myself forward and bring not only my story, but other people's that I don't know either. Because unfortunately, there is such a stigma and there is shame, even though maybe I didn't experience that myself. I know other people have. But the more forward that we can be about it, it's just made me feel much more confident and comfortable, and also kind of empowered by it, knowing that it's okay that I'm talking about it.
Yeah, absolutely. If we can talk about it, then everybody else can talk about it. Yeah. And be strong enough to talk about it, be strong enough to put it out there, yeah, and say, this is an important day. And so there's a mixture, isn't there, of you just telling the truth and being open, and that then you receive support, but also sometimes asking for, can we just say a little word or light a candle for Trevor at certain days, certain periods when you felt drawn to do it. So I guess you're just working with you all the time, aren't you, and what you need. That's what I'm kind of hearing. You're just being you in it, aren't you, actually? Just being...
Yeah, I feel like that's a lot of what my journey in healing has been, and something I'm just so insanely passionate about is really, again, that kind of self-healing and rediscovering myself, because I am a totally different person than I was before. There's no way I possibly could be the same person. And it was kind of a wake-up call of how fleeting life can be, and anything could happen at any given time, and to just continue to take care of myself and the people that I love around me. And in order to do that, I have to be physically healthy and emotionally healthy. So it's kind of opened my eyes to just letting everything out and being like, here I am, world, and accept me because I accept me. And I think there's burden lifted off my shoulders in doing that.
Nice. I accept me. That sounds really lovely. Yeah, I accept me. Here I am. This is me. Is that different, do you think, to how you were before Trevor died?
Yeah, I think for the longest time, I definitely didn't talk about my brother and all the things that he was suffering with. My really close friends knew, and obviously my family knew, but wasn't very open about it. And as he got more sick and people saw less and less of him, oftentimes people didn't even know I had a brother. They always just thought I was an only child, or they'd be confused when they saw a picture of me with him. And that hurt a lot, because it's just because I never talked about it. And it wasn't necessarily a shame, but I was really just protecting him, and I didn't feel comfortable bringing it up. But in him passing, it's just a big wake-up call and realization that because I watched my brother suffer so much, and also now in the years passing, he's made me the person that I am today, no doubt. I mean, basically my entire life, I took care of him and was there for him at 12 years old. So I don't really know any other way.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I do think siblings, we don't realize, I think, until grief of a sibling, that how much they form our personalities. My brother looked after me when I know the youngest at 4. He was 12 when I was kind of 7. And my dad got ill, so he looked after us while Mum went to see him in the hospital, dad in the hospital. So my brother was the one who cooked us tea and looked after us. And I think with attachment theory, I've just noticed how he was part of my attachment. He was part of my attachment, part of who I am. So I guess what you're saying is as well, then when they pass, because they're so close to who we are, I mean, any suicide changes somebody. But I guess with the sibling loss, I definitely felt my belief system was just in shatters, and I had to start picking it back up again. I've talked about that quite a lot, because that's been a lot of my process, is picking everything back up again now that nothing makes sense anymore. But what I can hear is kind of this sense of accepting yourself, but also almost like a respect for life more, like looking after other people, being you and loving life more, almost a sense of living more of your life. Do you know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Yeah, and that's exactly it, is that I've always been a very positive, bubbly person, but I also have hidden times where I've struggled behind my smile and my fun attitude.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas now I just feel much more alive and vibrant because I'm not afraid to talk about anymore about those feelings that I struggle with. So that's where that release comes in, and that just like living fully, because now I feel like I can actually talk about these emotions that I hid so well for the longest time, and that so many people struggle with, regardless if it's you have a diagnosed mental illness or you're just having a really crappy day. But so often we just don't open ourselves to that conversation and we feel judged. And I think once I've accepted the emotions, and especially in the initial process of grieving and just really sitting, and I did a ton of journaling, and writing really helped me. I just felt like I kind of grew closer to myself and understanding myself better.
Great. Yeah, I think journaling, just getting your thoughts out, not necessarily to anybody, on a piece of paper, because you get to know yourself, don't you, really well when you, with CBT, the first thing we kind of do is a thought diary with CBT therapy. Is like, let's do a thought diary, and you write down every day your thoughts, feelings. You write it down, because as soon as you become aware of what's going on, that's when you can start to decide or make more of a choice of, do I want this anymore or not going on inside me? You know, it's the start of it.
Yep.
Can't always change it quickly. Just the start of recognizing, and that's what journaling does, doesn't it? It really helps you to get to know yourself better, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. Couldn't agree more.
So yeah, you know yourself better. You feel that you can accept yourself, live life to this fullest. So actually, it's almost like, yeah, a transformation, isn't it, in terms of who you are today?
It is. And that's why I say I feel like a totally different person. And I know everybody's stories and are just so vastly different. And where I'm at, even though 2 years, could be completely different compared to somebody else that's 2 years. But yeah, there's nothing that can kind of change where I am right now. It's just like that growing forward and taking it day by day rather than going backward, because nothing can take me back to where I was, really. And it was also very different for me too, because unfortunately how it unfolded in my story is I just lost a lot at one time. My brother passed just shortly following my grandfather as well. So actually on the day of his funeral. And then I lost my 2 childhood cats, like in the next following weeks. And then my mom was diagnosed with an autoimmune disease. And then I was diagnosed with an autoimmune disease. So it was one thing just after the next, kind of on top of each other, where it's like, what now? What do I do now? And what could possibly get worse? And this is here where I am. So I think because of that aspect, it's really opened my eyes. And my health now being a thing as well, that's immensely changed where I am now too.
So how has it changed? What have you done then? Apart from journaling, what did you do then at that point where what else can go wrong? This is the worst it can possibly get, I guess. You start the journaling, you start getting to know yourself better. What came after that?
Yeah, I think once I found out that I was sick, and I've done a lot of research, and it's really interesting that sometimes an autoimmune disease can always exist in your body, but when something traumatic happens or a really stressful situation happens, that's what triggers it to kind of start either getting worse or really get to where it is. So that is why it was a big wake-up call, is that, oh wow, I really need to continue to take care of myself emotionally and physically. So I spent a lot of time outside walking, running. I ran my first 5K. And I never thought I would be good at running, but it was the freedom to just be with my thoughts that I enjoyed. And I always kind of loved being active, and I always had an active lifestyle, but it was never to the degree of, I need to do this to take care of my health and my future for myself and everybody around me. And I think that shift in my mindset has really helped too, is that it's not, oh, I want to look a certain way, but it's, I really want to feel a certain way and be able to take care of myself and do all these things that I want to do. So that was a huge, huge transformation as well.
Movement in running, in activity, to look after your health, the autoimmune side, to look after yourself so that you can look after other people and do what you want to do. Yeah. So you keep noticing in all these grief stories, there's a movement in the loss, a movement, an action. Journaling turned into movement, physical movement. And I guess that again was impacted by your health, but then you have this sense of doing things you've never done before, running the 5K, looking after yourself in a different way, isn't it? It's got a very different quality to looking after yourself. I want to look good. I want to exercise to look good, but I want to actually feel good, and I want to look after myself, and then looking after yourself. And so now you do yoga, don't you? Now you're yoga teacher.
Yeah, I do fitness instructor for BAR, which is a yoga Pilates mix. And then I'm getting my yoga and meditation certification as well. Because I've noticed too is kind of what we were talking about with the awareness, but the awareness of my breath and my feelings and all of that plays a huge part into my everyday and just how I think and how I act too, and then how I feel. So that is something that I think is almost like a daily habit and a routine that has really helped in kind of my coping.
Yeah. So meditation and the yoga, or both separately, I guess, can be, yeah.
Yeah. Depending on how I feel. Again, I think it's just that awareness of kind of checking in, like, where am I at today?
Yeah. Where am I right now? I think when we see meditation, we kind of think you've got to sit there on a cushion for half an hour. And I think that can stop people because it feels like too much of a commitment. Whereas I just try and link it in every day with what I'm doing. So if I'm washing up, I'll try and feel the bubbles on my hand. If I'm walking down the stairs, I'll feel the quality of the banister as I touch it. You're just connecting with your senses in that very moment. Because we're all busy, we've got busy lives, and we sometimes feel, and I think the more we integrate that habit throughout our day, just the awareness of what's going on inside right now, what's going on in my body right now. But that's what yoga helps with, isn't it? I've done yoga for a long time, and it's just helped me really connect with my body and recognize when I'm tensing in my shoulders or when I'm tensing, and just have that regular connection with your body in class helps you throughout the week. Then I think just become more aware, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely.
So that movement that you've got has turned into a profession, I guess.
Yeah. And just a really kind of switch in where almost my life and what I've wanted to do. Because again, things have changed so much that I'm not the same as I was prior to this. So my interests and motivation towards what I was doing isn't the same now as it was, because it doesn't provide me as much fulfillment in knowing I have this really powerful gift and this powerful story where I can actually not only take care of myself and learn, but also help people too.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. It's making something so horrible, something into something good, isn't it? More positive, because that's what we can do now, isn't it? I can't bring my brother back, but I can do something to help people going forward. It's just creating that power within ourselves, isn't it? To say, I can make something out of this good for other people. And I think that's so powerful in for me, for my healing anyway, so powerful for me to know. I've said this to you earlier, I can't just leave my brother's death in a suitcase locked away and not do anything with it. I have to bring it out and do something with it to create as much good as I can out of this little package that's kind of there and is always going to be there. It's not going to disappear. It's always going to be there. And I don't want to hide it away. I don't want to hide my brother away. I don't want to hide him away in a suitcase. I want to make sure he's recognized for who he is as well. And that's, like you say, quite hard to do because people move on, don't they? In best of worlds, we can't expect everyone to keep talking to us and being there for us. But can we get that balance where people realize we still need the connection, we still need to be able to talk when we need to. And that could be 3 years down the line or 5 years down the line. Or I guess it's the same thing. It's asking, isn't it? Like you did on your post. If we really need it, we need to be able to ask, don't we?
Yeah. And it's interesting you say that, because I think the more open I've been and the more work I do towards this, I feel closer to my brother and more connected. Whereas I feel like if I didn't, and I kind of did just tuck it away and put it in that suitcase, I would forget about all these amazing memories and only focus on the negative. Whereas the more I bring it up, the more good memories come forward and the more stories that people also share with me too. So it's just keeping the memories alive. The pain gets less and less, but it's always going to be there. And it's kind of just walking along with it every single day.
Yeah. Don't want to say making friends with it, but it's almost having a relationship with it, with that part of us that's not going to go away. A bit like our relationship with our siblings, I guess. That's not going to go away either. It's
exactly
part of who we are. So we're going to keep taking it forward, aren't we? Think about it. Yeah. And it's tricky, isn't it? Balance to make. How often do we ask for help and how much do we expect people to come forward? And say that in inverted commas, expect people to come forward, because people can't mind read, can they? And people can't. And I think a lot of that happens with suicide grief. I've heard from people who try and support. They don't know what to say. And I wonder if us telling them what to say would help. And it's interesting to hear your story where you were just kind of open to, this is what's happened, this is the way it is. And then you received those kind of comments of, I'm here if you need me, kind of, didn't you? You kind of got those. Maybe it's us who can't do that, who don't feel in the position to do that. I don't know. It's a real mixed bag, isn't it? Everyone's different and everybody who supports is different.
It is. And I think, I know for myself, I'm very self-aware. Maybe that comes from my theater and dance background of always kind of drawing into that awareness. But because of that, it's really helped me in knowing, okay, I can deal with this on my own, or no, I need to go see a therapist to talk about it, or maybe I need a friend to talk about it. But I think part of the suicide grief is knowing what your options are, because being alone isn't the only option. Even though it's the easy option to just kind of crawl in a corner and hide away. And I know the very first days, that was the only thing I could imagine. But there are many options that either you personally need or somebody else might extend to you as well. So I think it's just knowing where to get that support and who from.
Nice. Yeah. So it's knowing where your support and then you making the choice which one you want to take forward. Yeah. For me, it's having as many options available as possible, because I don't think there's enough available in every country that needs to be there. Whether it's a support group or a private therapist or a friend or a podcast or somewhere, just something available everywhere where you can process it the way that you choose to in that moment, which changes as well, doesn't it? Like your journaling changed to movement, changed to now you're coaching, aren't you? You're going to move towards coaching and yoga and meditation.
Yeah, it's interesting too, because I had always thought I wanted to be a life coach. People had said it to me before, and I would always say, oh, I'm too young, or I don't have enough life experience, blah, 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 blah. And then crazy enough, this happens. And it's like, why did this have to happen for me to realize that I was enough and I could do this? But in actually pursuing it, it really helped me. So I'm a totally different person when I started that program to where I ended it. So knowing how much it helped me has made me realize how much it can really help others. And I think the difficult thing in this type of situation is not everybody feels brave enough or feels like they can be a leader to help others. And I just say to anybody that does feel like they want to do something, to just do it, whatever it is, even in the smallest capacity, because even if it just helps one person, that's all that matters.
Yeah, even if it's starting an Instagram account or a Facebook account or something where and just one person reads one post. Again, it's just starting anywhere, isn't it? And it's having like you say, it's having the trust, faith, strength, all of those things at that moment to be able to do it. And if not, open a book and write it down or sing, do something inside to release the heaviness of it, because it's heavy stuff. It's just heavy, full stop, isn't it? The whole thing is heavy and painful. We can't get away from that, can we? We can't get away from the pain. It's tricky, isn't it? Because I think as well, some people get a sense of, I'm indulging in this. If I keep talking about my brother, I'm indulging it. If I keep talking about suicide, I'm indulging in it. Am I making my grief worse? Am I prolonging it by indulging in it? And from my point of view, I cannot ignore it to the point where it's the opposite of that. It feels like it would be completely negating my brother and me if I didn't do anything about it. And I need to know when to pick or choose. If I'm in a certain group and I'm hearing things which can make my mood drop, then that's the group maybe I need to drop for a little while. If I'm listening to a podcast and it's making my mood drop, that might be what I need to drop for a while. If I'm listening to another one and it's making me feel warm and fuzzy inside or whatever it is, good inside, then that's the one I need to keep listening to. Do you know what I mean? It's understanding as well what helps us and what doesn't, and when it does and when it doesn't, and that will change. And trust in ourselves, I guess, to do those things, but trust in ourselves to feel when it's not quite right, then follow that gut feeling and move away from it for a little while.
Oh yes, that gut feeling is everything. And the more you listen to it, and I think you're going to understand what you need to in the moment. And I know these emotions are so heavy. And even though I've been through a lot prior to that in watching my brother struggle so much, and there was a lot there where had maybe brought me to my tears before, but this is a different type of pain, one that I had never experienced before. And there's no rule book, there's no guidebook, there's nothing. But it's scary, and it causes you to kind of do that fight or flight. And what has made me in my healing and my grief is just kind of back to what you were saying of being a friend to it, is just experiencing it and knowing this is what I'm going through. It's okay. And it will pass at some point. It's not always going to be like this. And of course, it's a lot easier said than done, but it's a lot easier to just sit and cry, be angry, feel guilty rather than hide it up and then they hidden so much and then burst, make a huge explosion, because it's been hidden so long.
Yeah. It doesn't mean none of that happened, does it? The guilt, all those things still happened. It doesn't mean because we're sitting here today talking so openly and saying we're trying to make positive out of it. Doesn't mean the guilt or the anger or the shame, the sadness, the pain wasn't there. It just means, for me, I just had to really work through it and observe it. Like you're talking about, just observe it, work through it. Allow it to work through somatically in my body, because the fight or flight keeps it hidden away. And you're sort of working it through to the point where at the end I feel it's still there, but it's not as heavy and not as painful as it used to be. And I'm going to keep doing that until it's even less painful, less heavy as it used to be. Just keep on with that.
Yeah. And that's why I say it's almost like you're empowered by it. Like you have control of your emotions to a degree. So when it comes, it's like, okay, I understand what's happening and that's totally okay, rather than just fleeing and fearing the worst.
Yeah. Humans don't like discomfort, do we? We don't like uncomfortable feelings.
We don't like uncomfortable feelings or conversations, all of that.
So we're going to run a mile if we can, but we've got to learn to sit with the discomfort.
Exactly.
Yeah. And trust that it's going to go. I've heard once that it takes 90 seconds for a feeling to go through your body. If we allow it to, if we observe it and allow it to go through, it can take 90 seconds, but we don't like the discomfort. So we either avoid it or run away from it or cling on to it. We cling on to it and then it stays, and our extra thoughts that layer on top of it. Oh, I'm feeling sad. Oh, I'm feeling this. I'm feeling that. That's what kind of compounds it and makes it last longer than 90 seconds. So if we can observe it and allow it to go through, it's not always going to be 90 seconds, is it? Of course not. And it's not always going to be as simple as that, observing, because I think chemical reactions happen as well, which are they feel so much more out of our control, don't they? The chemical feeling of depression, that sometimes just floors us and we can't even work out where it's come from, or that's different, isn't it? That's different to the quality of what we're talking about in terms of those feelings that can come and go and have us observe them and allow them to go through. And I think it's knowing the difference as well. And that goes back to trusting yourself to know, isn't it? Trusting yourself. Is this more than something I can just observe? Do I need to get help then and maybe support if it's more than that? Or is this something I can observe and work through with support, with breathing, with meditation, with mindfulness, with whatever else it is? Trusting ourselves. It goes back to trusting ourselves and looking after ourselves, I think.
Yeah, I think there's this really big component that's not talked about, and I've had some conversations with people, is just the self-care and self-worth of knowing like it's okay to take care of yourself during this time, because it's so much easier to let yourself go, to find comfort in food, or to not eat at all, or to not sleep. But if you can just focus on the simplicities of getting up, making your bed, taking a shower, having a sip of water, I know my early days that helped me a ton, because I need to be able to just breathe and get up, go to sleep.
Yeah, it's okay. Those small things, and that's okay. There's periods when that's okay, isn't it? Yeah, that's okay. A shower, it's quite monumental, I think, for some people when they're in that period of grief, when that feels insurmountable. And if you can just get up and have your shower, or do those tiny things, or just eat, just make sure you're eating and drinking water, those simple things. It goes back to simplicity, doesn't it? Trying to keep it as simple as possible while you can. Wow. So you've integrated everything to the point where now your life's different. You're a different person. Did you start the coaching before Trevor passed away?
I started it a little bit over a year since he had passed.
Okay, so again, that was something new that you decided to do. Like you said, you wouldn't have done it before. You thought you were too young, but now you thought, actually, I can do this now.
Yeah, and it's interesting because I continue to kind of go along the same path and follow kind of the dreams I had set in place and talk to him about. And I felt I really needed to go through with it because I talked to him about it. And once I finished that up and accomplished it, I was left like, okay, now? What do I do? Where do I go? And whether or not that was what I was meant to do, it was kind of just, again, that gut reaction, that gut feeling of, okay, here I am. Let's see what happens.
And you did it, and now you're qualified. So you're going to take that forward to help other people with movement, aren't you? So if anybody wants to get hold of you, how do they get hold of you?
Yeah, right now I'm kind of creating my program, but it's really, really awesome to be able to talk to people, to provide any type of service I have now or in the future. And most of that you can find on Instagram. My coaching is under Smile with Jenna, and I have a website where I really actually just started it for blogging purposes
Nice.
to write about my story, and that's smilewithjenna.com as well. So those two platforms really started off as a hobby, more so again for just my own personal grief and talking about it. But it's become much more since then.
And it goes back to the smile where we started, the smile, you and Trevor, you were the smiling ones at school, smile with Jenna.
Exactly.
That makes sense. Oh, thank you so much for sharing your story. Is there anything else you want to say before we finish?
I think I just want to say thank you for reaching out to me, because it's so nice to connect with people that, as hard as it is to say that you've experienced this pain, or I'm so sorry that we're in this group together. Anytime I talk to somebody that has experienced it, it's very nice to know you're not alone in that. There are people all over the world that are going through the same feelings.
Yeah.
And so often we question, is this normal? I'd say more often than not, it is normal.
Yeah.
So it's really nice to just hold any type of conversation with somebody who really understands.
Yeah, totally. I resonate a lot with that. Yeah. Stronger together. That's my motto. I definitely feel stronger when I'm around people that just get it. It's as simple as that.
Yep.
Don't even have to speak sometimes. You can just be present and say, yep, you get it. That's it.
Totally.
Thank you so much for being here. Really appreciate it.
Yes, thank you.
Thanks so much for joining us here today. I hope it served you and given you something for your journey with suicide. Come back and subscribe, like, do whatever you need to do on your platform to help us to raise awareness of suicide, because the more we keep saying the word, the more we can gain support for us left behind, and the more we can raise awareness of the word and how society sees it, and reduce this stigma that's so attached to it. Please get in touch. You can find me on my website, suicidegriefsupport.com. I really want to hear from you. But for now, please take care of yourselves and take care of each other. And remember, we are stronger together.